Well, this is Guns, Knives, Watches. And when you go out backpacking, of course, you have to take food. When you take food, there's the risk of running into animals trying to take your food. So the concept of bear bagging, or putting your food up in a tree, keeps it away from not only bears, squirrels, chipmunks, whatever else, is a common practice out in the wilderness. And the more out in the wilderness you are, the more common practice it is after you lose some food. Well, if you're doing a large through hike, that risk goes up, because those animals are used to those hikers being there and somebody making a mistake and them getting a free meal. Traditionally, what we've used are these 15 liter, like this is a Sea to Summit stuff sack. Then we got a little bit more high tech, and people would use like these outdoor research dry bags, which can be sealed up, waterproof dry bags, this, there, the other. This one is the Ridgeline Dry 15 liter from Outdoor Research, and this is a 40 denier, which is this is one of the things that they're some of their ultralight line. They may make lighter ones, they may not. This is just what we have and what I have on hand. And then you carry about 50 feet of paracord. I usually carried it in 2 hanks. I could tie it together depending on how I was going to use it, if I needed a longer stretch, this, that, or the other. Well, if you were to weigh this setup right here, and I'm going to have to do it in kind of an unorthodox way, which I won't get probably a true weight, but we'll see what we can do. It'll be close. For 2 food bags, rough weight and 50 feet, you're talking about 8.35 ounces. And don't get me wrong, bear bagging and going out backpacking is not all about just the super lightest weight gear, because I still use these Outdoor Research bags to keep stuff dry in my pack, this, there, or the other, as some type of redundancy. But in my pack, I don't carry 550 paracord anymore, and these stuff sacks kind of went the way of the dodo. I use them in high use environments, this, that, or the other, when I'm not out backpacking. They can be used in a survival situation, a survival setup. They can be used doing a lot of different things. Nowadays, a lot of people are going towards more high-tech food systems. This is a bear bag setup, of course, from Zline. ZPacks. Sorry, it's Zline. This is Zline, but this whole system is from ZPacks. Now, what you have here, it looks like a reflective mess. You have 2 different bear bag setups. You have 2 different configurations here. One is for a larger pack, which is called a cylinder, which is this one in OD green. And it's a slightly transparent fabric. Of course, Velcro at the top. We have our hooks, our clasp for holding it together, and then we've got our very, very small ultralight carabiner. And don't get me wrong, this clasp is going to have to be kind of taken care of, but it works. They're pretty durable, and once you have some experience with working with lighter weight gear like this, it's just you just get used to it, believe it or not. Now, this setup that we have here is not cheap. It's going to be around $77 for both bear bags, for the line, and for the rucksack. like I said, we have two different orientations. The tubular, which is for larger packs, and the rectangular, which is for smaller packs. And the rectangular I got in blue. I did that simply just because I wanted to easily be able to see what see the two bags together. Now, this rectangular stuff sack with the carabiner is going to run you right at $28.95 or $29. This whole kit right here with the rock sack and the line, bag, and small carabiner are going to run you around $45. Now, this fabric looks very weak, this, that, or the other. Where this fabric comes from is from the sailing industry, and it's called Cubin Fiber. And all Cubin fibers are not the same. There are many different ones. This is a 1.43 ounce per yard Cubin fiber, which is actually made out of Spectra. And the Spectra runs in two at a 90-degree angle to each other. There's two layers of Spectra on this Cubin fiber, and then there's two, I think, polyester layers. I'll have to look that up real quick. But it's very strong stuff. It'll hold 100 pounds per inch. Now, what does that mean for you? It means for you, not only do you have an ultralight setup, which is great, but you have a rodent resistant setup. They've had these bags and their testimonials where people have let a rodent try to get at this bag, and of course they've damaged the bag some, but they did not get the food inside. This line, which is Zline, is Dyneema, but it's a slick Dyneema. It's very low friction. It goes over trees very easily, takes very little stress. And of course your rock bag, which you basically put rocks in, tie to your line, and then throw over the tree. The way in which I do it is a little bit different than what a lot of people do. I actually use two bear bags together because between the two of us we can pretty much carry all the food, or we can hang it up. Of course, this stuff is water resistant, waterproof, whatever else. I don't think anything's really waterproof, but it's very highly water resistant. All the seams are taped. Of course, it has the dry bag configuration at the top. But what I do is I take, of course, the rock sack, throw it over the branch, tie one bear bag to it, pull it all the way up, or most of the way up, however far, and you kind of get the hang of it after a while. Then I clip the other bear bag onto, make a loop, clip the other bear bag on it, and then take my walking staff, walking poles, trekking poles, you can call them whatever the hell you want to call them, and then take and push the other bag up, and they basically, you create a counterbalance, and both bags are held far enough off the ground so that bears, rodents, this, that, or the other aren't going to get a hold of them. That's why I have two bear bags, one line, one rock sack, because this is for a multi-day hike. These are about 13-liter food bags, and they just work. Of course, this one's for Mrs. Guns, Knives, and Watches, and this one's mine because my pack is a little different configuration. They're just straight seams on the bottom. They're not, there's not gussets and this, that, or the other. But this is what we're using, and I'm not only using it because it's lightweight, I'm using it because it's rodent resistant, because sometimes we're in situations where we don't use bear bags because we don't have to worry about those type of predators, this, that, or the other. And I just want my food to be rodent resistant. I want it to be this, I want it to be that. So this is the very best setup. It's not just about it being light, but since we sit there and said that it is light, let's kind of take a look at it, measure it out, and kind of see what we've got. Now the other one I think came in somewhere around 8 ounces. And that was with no carabiners, no nothing. And these have 2 little carabiners. This whole setup right now comes in at 4.75 ounces. So is half the weight important to you? It is to me. More importantly, it's just a totally better setup. It's a more durable setup, believe it or not, and it's half the weight. Let's just for kicks come back, throw all of our things back on it, because I may not be remembering that right, because I've got a lot of things kind of going through my head. And get us weights. Yeah, so pretty close to about 50%. It's actually going to be 40-some% lighter, but it's more durable. And when you can go with something that's lighter, more durable, more resistant to animals, then that's the way I'm going to go. And I'm going to make that choice every time. There's 15 foot of Zline on there, which is a Dyneema, which is a slick Dyneema. And then 2 carabiners, that about 77 bucks shipped to you from ZPacks. They get it to you pretty quick. Of course, it's made in the USA from down in Florida, from where the America 3, which is what the Cubin Fiber name comes from. It comes from the American cubed, and so they won the America's Cup in, I believe, 1992. Sorry, it's a lot of information. It's a lot of this, there, or the other. I probably didn't present it the best way possible. But this is my new bear bagging setup and my new food bag setup. Rodents, bears, this, that, or the other. This is what you need. Of course, this isn't as good as a bear canister. You know, and if you're in situations where you're required to have a bear canister, I would always recommend doing that. But for situations where you don't have to have a bear canister, it's not mandated, this is my option. This is guns, knives, and watches. And this is enough food to last 2 people for 5 to 6 days. Hard work out on a hike. Or 5 people for a couple days, 3 days, and get the job done. Of course, the 5 people are going to, this, there, or the other, they're going to be eating a little leaner, but of course, you don't hike as fast when you have your children with you as you do when you're out on doing a section hike. This is Guns, Knives, and Watches, and have a good one.